Welcome to another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. I'm your host, Melly Clay, and thanks for joining me. This is a show about discovery, introspection. It's about learning more about yourself and learning more about the people around you, just life in general, basically, improving yourself, growing. And I have this show, this season, is on video. So if you're listening to the podcast and via audio, but you would like to see video, I am here on YouTube. So click the link in the show notes or go to Making Me Pod on YouTube and you can see all of the episodes here. And season three, I will be doing the solo episodes and where I come to you and I talk about some things that I've been learning about myself, some things I've been noticing about the world or friends, family, community, etc. Just kind of process those things with you all here. And in seasons one and two, I had it was audio only. So you can find those episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to those episodes. And I'm pretty much exclusively talking to guests, and I talk to them about their journeys, their life journey, who they are now, who they thought they were going to be when they were younger, what has their journey been throughout that process, and where do they hope to become? What do they hope to become? And we have a good time. There are some really good nuggets on there, so I definitely recommend if you haven't listened to them to go back. And if you have, and it's been a few years because this podcast dropped in 2022. So the show is it's 3 years old, I think, by the time this episode comes out. Yeah, because I released in the fall of 2022 and it is now the fall of 2025. And where has the time gone? Truly, where has the time gone? Who even knows? And this episode kind of talks about time escaping. And so, yeah, in season three and beyond, I will have guests on the show. And I'll also have solo episodes where, like I mentioned before, I will be talking about some things about myself and exploring those things, processing things verbally. Sometimes that's how I process things the best is by talking them through. So definitely let me know if you have any feedback in the comments, share with your friends, send it around. Maybe there's something that you resonated with that you want to share with a friend. I would very much appreciate that. And today, like I kind of alluded to a little bit about how time just where does it go? I don't know if it's the older you get, the more time goes by quickly, or I don't even know what it is, but it's now, I think we're in November of 2025 by the time this episode comes out, like very close to 2026. And 2026, how did we get here? But something that I have been doing to help to at least slow down a little bit the time from going is to lock in with a routine. So I'm talking about a daily routine, something that helps me get all of the tasks done that I, one, maybe put upon myself, and two, tasks that I need to complete because maybe it's work related and I need a paycheck. So, yeah, so just the combination of all those things, sometimes it's a lot to try to get finished and check off everything on your to-do list. And I think ever since, well, no, I'll take it back. I'll take it way back to growing up with my parents, and my dad has, well, he's no longer he's retired, but he had a routine, and I think he still even kind of sticks by this routine even now, not working, but even still, he had a routine that he did a lot of the same things every single day, especially during the week, Monday through Friday. And he would do his workouts Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He would work out after work, never failing. And I still think that he does that to this day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he works out. Not maybe not in a specific time, maybe it is during a specific time, during his retired day. But yeah, he would work out 3 times a week. He would actually eat the same lunches, eat the same breakfast, and even my mom would make the same thing every night. Well, not the same thing every night, but on Mondays, she would make this thing. On Tuesdays, she would make this thing. So I think that really just helped them to be able to check everything off their box. Like, listen, having 4 children, 2 adults in a household, making sure everything was going to run in a smooth fashion. For them, it was let's have a routine. To grocery shop for 6 people, that can be a lot every week. So it's like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to get because I know that I'm cooking this on Monday, I'm cooking that on Tuesday, we're doing this on Wednesday, and you can regiment your day in a way where you're able to get everything finished because you're in a routine and you don't even have to think about it, where you are able to, okay, I wake up at this time, I know that I'm going to do this. Like your body is already in autopilot mode because it already knows this is what we're going to be doing. And I understand that saying that to some people, they might think that's like the worst thing ever. I don't want to have such a regimented life. I want to be able to wake up at a reasonable hour and do whatever I want to do throughout the day. Like I don't want it to be, okay, it's 12 p.m. and I have to make sure that I am eating lunch right at this moment because if I don't, my day is going to fall apart. And it doesn't have to be that extreme. At least for me, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Maybe for my dad, it was that extreme. But of course, you can make it work for yourself. Whatever it is that you need to do or want to do to be able to get finished during your day, you can have an idea of, okay, I want to get these 5 things completed today. So maybe it doesn't have to be, I need to do it at this exact time, but you at least have an idea of this is what I'm trying to get completed by the time I fall asleep tonight. So for me, I did become a little bit more regimented after I completed 75 hard because of all of the tasks on that list. In addition to living my life, I had a lot of things that I needed to complete. Like for instance, working out twice a day for 45 minutes each at least. How do you fit something like 45-minute workouts in one day in addition to everything else that you have to do? Or drinking a gallon of water. For me, that took some planning to figure out when am I going to consume all of this water every single day for 75 days straight? Because you can't just wake up and be like, oh, I'll have some here. You're not thinking about, oh, I need to drink 128 ounces of water. Your brain isn't saying, oh, Melly, go drink that because you're thirsty. Because you're not really that thirsty when you're drinking 128 gallons or gallons, 128 ounces of water every day. So it was something where, okay, I have to put it in my mind by 10 a.m., I want to have already had 32 ounces of water. By 1 p.m., I need to have had another 32 ounces of water. So, I was building that throughout the day so that I could check in with myself and know, oh, it's 2 o'clock. How much water have I had to drink already? So, building that regimen of doing a workout in the morning. So before I even woke up to go to work, or before I even went to work, I needed to have completed a full workout. And then, okay, shower, get to work. And on my lunch break, I needed to do that second workout. That's how I was uh, constructing my day. And also, you needed to read 10 pages a day. So typically, I would read the 10 pages a day in the evening because that was when I was back home. I could quiet my brain a bit and focus on these 10 pages. Now, some days, like I was saying, how you don't have to have it super regimented, some days I would maybe read in the morning or I would read on my lunch break because the 45 minutes, maybe I did a walk outside, and then for those next 15 minutes, I would read the 10 pages. So it might not always have happened at the same time during the day, but I at least was thinking about it in order to finish it. So that was like a really regimented time in my life to make sure that I had completed those 5 or 6 tasks, whatever was on the list that I needed to do every single day. That was like, I'm not going to compare it to being in the military because I don't know anything about that world, but a civilian military, if you will. Like it felt like a little bit like boot camp in how I was, okay, wake up, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Constantly having that on my mind. But then eventually, as the 75 days were ticking along, I didn't have to think about it as much. My body was just like, I'm going to do this thing. So when it came to drinking the water or reading the pages, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to reach for my water bottle and take a big drink right now because I know I need to finish this. So it wasn't as much as like, okay, Melly, right now I need to do this, or like, you need to think about this. You need to take your daily progress picture. It was wake up, put the same clothes on so that I can, be able to compare the pictures, take the picture, and then get ready to leave to go to the gym. So I would wake up, think, take the picture. And it wasn't like, okay, what do I need to do today? It was, these are the things that are already on my list. So currently, I am nowhere near as regimented as I was before, but I am thinking about, okay, I want to be able to do these things for myself, like say recording an episode of the podcast or making sure I continue reading 10 pages a day because that was something that I found to be beneficial that I took from 75 hard, or drinking 100 ounces of water. So that's something that I picked up again from 75 hard. I'm not drinking a gallon a day because that's just a lot. It's a lot of water. So but I did enjoy the benefits of me drinking that much water every single day. Like I noticed things with my skin and my scalp and just, feeling better throughout the day because I was drinking so much water. So I'm like, I'm gonna compromise with myself and drink 100 ounces of water every day. So when I'm thinking, okay, I need to do these things. I mean, I want to do these things, but then it becomes a need because it's something that I want to do to feel good, so then it becomes a need for myself and something that I don't want to compromise on. And so I have decided that these things are needs for me: reading my 10 pages, drinking 100 ounces of water a day, moving my body in some kind of way. These have become needs for me. So how am I going to get these things completed on top of going to work, on top of commuting, on the days when I have to go into the office, on top of eating? Let's not forget about that. On top of eating, and maybe preparing a meal or making sure that I have food to eat. Those things you kind of have to think about every day. But once they become a routine, speaking for myself, once they have become a routine for myself, I notice that I'm not spending a lot of brain power on thinking about, okay, I need to do this because it's routine. So it's like little by little, bit by bit, I am achieving those goals. So maybe it's something like, for instance, launching this podcast for myself back in 2022. And of course, I had been conceiving of launching this well before 2022, but actually sitting down in that year and deciding this is going to be the year that this launches. What do I need to do in order to make sure that I have my ducks in a row to complete this and launch it and have it come together in a way that I feel proud about? And so it's like connecting with maybe someone who has done this before, connecting with them and talking to them about what are the things that I need to be able to have this show actually come to fruition, and then breaking those things down. So, not looking at it as one huge thing like let's launch a podcast and not really thinking about what are all the different moving parts and when do I need to get things completed in order for the rest of the things to line up in order for me to launch this podcast. So, something like that, applying it to my current life, thinking about, let's say the project that I have been working on with at the writing retreat that I went to earlier this year, breaking that project down in order to get it to a place where I'm feeling like, okay, I feel like this is complete. I had to break it down bit by bit and not think about it in a way of, I want to finish this short story, but there's like a lot going on in my life. How could I possibly do that? But, day by day, maybe writing for an hour or maybe saying, okay, I'm only going to focus on this part of the story and getting that completed. So then bit by bit, I'm like checking these things off of the list until finally one day it's like, oh, it's completed. Like I have finished it. I've gone through this process because I took it day by day. Granted, I knew that I had the actual goal, the final goal of finishing the short story, but every day I wasn't thinking about it that way. I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh my gosh, like this big task that I have in front of me. I was thinking about what I needed to get completed for that day. And so, because I was doing that, it helped it become more digestible for myself in order to trust and believe that I could get it completed. So my routine currently is kind of like that, like taking it little by little. So let's say, so I read a book for my work book club, called The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult, and I actually voted to read this story. There's like a poll that we take for different books, and we vote on which book we want to read based off of the synopsis. And I read the synopsis. I've read another book before by Jodi Picoult, and so I really enjoy her as an author. And when I got the book and saw how long the book was, I was like, oh, I have to. This is what I chose. The book is like 450 pages long. And I was thinking, oh gosh, I this is what I signed up for. Um and I was excited to read the book. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's 450 pages long. I'm just not gonna do it. I wanted to read the book. I voted to choose that book. And so I had to think about it like, okay, there are this many days between now and the day that we're meeting in the book club. There are this many pages. Let me divide it by however many days and make sure I'm reading at least that many pages per day. So that helped me break it down. Of course, some days I did not get to that amount that I needed to read. For that day, I was reading at least 10 pages. But of course, you break a 450 page book down 10 pages. I didn't have 45 days to finish that book. We were going to be meeting in like, I think 5 weeks or something. So some days I didn't read the allotted amount of pages that I needed to read. So that meant on other days I was going to have to read more, but on the weekends I could do that, or on a weeknight where I got home early, then I was able to finagle it and read more pages that day. But if I remained thinking about how many pages were in this book, I was never going to finish the book. It was going to feel too insurmountable for me. So because I broke it down, let me just take it bit by bit, that really helped me to finish reading the book because it's like, oh, I've got 60 pages left and I have 4 more days left before the meetup. I can do this, and it took me through and it was a very good book. I definitely recommend The Storyteller if you haven't read it. But so that's an example of something where I took it bit by bit and I was able to complete the task at hand. So for me, that's something that has been very beneficial for me to approach big tasks and big projects that way. Cause I don't know if they say this about, I think they do say this about Aries, about how we like the beginnings of things. We don't, it's difficult for us to have follow through on things. And when I was younger, I used to identify with that. Like that is something that was true for me and it was real for me. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I was younger, not necessarily because I'm an Aries, but it was something that I was aware of and I wanted to become someone who finished tasks. Now, I'm not saying that I finish everything that I start. I'm not saying that like, oh, I just break down a task bit by bit and everything gets completed. That's not always the case. But for the things that are really resonating with me, that I really feel strongly and passionately about, those are the projects where I make sure, let me break this down so that I can finish this. So my routine currently is daily waking up in the morning, going to the gym first because I used to try to work out on my lunch breaks and sometimes that just doesn't happen or I have to take my lunch break late or I have a lot of meetings. It's just it can become a lot. So I will make sure that I am waking up early on the days that I decide to go to the gym to work out before work so that during the day I don't even have to think about the gym anymore because I have already checked it off my list. And by 11 a.m. I've already had 32 ounces of water. And then maybe by 3 p.m., I'll have another. So just breaking it down chunk by chunk. I hate that word, but I'm saying it. I'm saying it for this chunk by chunk. We are making it through and checking off those things on my to-do list. I do need some help with this sometimes when it comes to things that I don't really want to do, something that doesn't resonate with me, but I know that I need to complete it. That's that's the time when, it's like, okay, come on. Or maybe I'll talk to my friends for a little motivation, talk to my therapist about it, and then eventually it will get completed because now I've talked about it, I've processed it, and now I've come up with a plan to actually complete it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please take what resonates with you. Let me know what your routine looks like. If you have a routine or if your routine is to not have a routine, I would love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments. And I want to move to my next segment. It's called Pod Corner. And this is where I recommend a podcast to you all that I really love. Maybe I think it's funny. Maybe I think they give good information or education. Maybe it's something about dating, which I love to listen to podcasts about dating. And this podcast, it's kind of sort of about dating, but it is called Out of the Pods with Natalie and Deepti, and they are from season 2 of Love is Blind, US, and that one was in Chicago. So, they actually do this podcast. It's about Love is Blind mainly. And so they do recaps of the Love is Blind episodes, or maybe they'll talk about Perfect Match or some other dating reality show. And it's really informative because they have kind of like a behind the scenes, they know they've been there before take on the on these reality shows and like Love is Blind. So it's a lot of fun. They also talk about their current dating experiences and they've also been talking about like freezing their eggs and just going through that process and being very open and candid. So I enjoy it. They're really good friends as well ever since the show. So you really get to see their friendship on display and it's a lot of fun. So it's called Out of the Pods with Natalie and Deepti. So check it out wherever you get your podcast. I think they're also on YouTube. They have a video component as well. And this is another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. I hope you enjoyed. This has been another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. Please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend, tell a family member. We all deserve to grow and change and become our best selves, whatever that might look like to you. And please connect on Instagram at Making Me Pod, on TikTok. You can email me at meli@makingmepod.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. And yeah, I'm just having such a great time. I'm so happy to have been able to launch this video episode for you all, and come again. Bye.